It's the International Press Review, sir.
All right, International Press Review it is then. Have a look at this cartoon in The Independent. We're starting off with Gordon Brown again. A succession of glum photos of Gordon Brown all this week. And this cartoon shows him saying, "I'm determined to hang on by my fingernail." Oh, bugger, which is a sort of a reference to the fact that he's been falling off the edge all week long, but he's managed to hold on.
So his hands there, he's bitten the fingers down to the bone in that cartoon, which it looks pretty gruesome, doesn't it?
It looks pretty awful, in fact. And he, of course, had a meeting last night with some Labour MPs, and he managed to hold on to power. And in The Independent, they're saying that if he's managed to survive this, he can survive anything. So Houdini escapes again,
That was the meeting with the Parliamentary Labour Party,
right?
Which is kind of like, I suppose, everybody is on side and being whipped into line and obviously towing the line. But clearly within, I mean, obviously the resignation of the Minister Jane Kennedy yesterday as well, the MP for Liverpool Broad Green. Liverpool is a staunch Labour area as well. So there's a Labour MP turning against him, I suppose. It's looking pretty dire.
It is.
And in those cartoons, it's looking even worse.
In The Guardian, actually, they referred to an MP from Liverpool. I think I had her name.
That is Jane Kennedy.
Yes, Jane Kennedy, and she said that he's going to hold on until such time as the Labour Party ceases to exist. So she's clearly a little bit anxious for him to go, even though he won't do it.
Interesting words. What's next?
We're going to move to Burkina Faso, where a newspaper called Le Pays is focusing on that death of Omar Bongo in neighbouring Gabon. This newspaper is very good for regional news in French-speaking Africa, and they say that he has left a succession war really behind him because he got sick before he was able to decide on who would take over amongst his political clan. So he has his son, who is a defence minister, and his son-in-law, who is the foreign affairs minister, and it looks like there could be a lot of tension between them. And Le Pays says that after a long reign like this one, chaos always follows if you look at African history.
And this probably explains why there was the delay in actually confirming that he was dead or not, because they're trying to sort out who's going to actually become president after him or succeed, whatever. So that probably explains a little bit behind it.
Yes, and that article talks about the denials yesterday. For when Le Point, French magazine, came out with the news that he was dead, we came out with it here ourselves, and then there were denials and then finally admissions, and that might indeed explain it. Now, Ciao Kaka. Which they're having a lot of fun with actually on the French channel, because Kaka means something quite different. But
yes, Kaka does mean something different.
Which we won't explain.
There's a similar word in Welsh as well. But,
well, there you go. 65 million for that transfer from AC Milan to Real Madrid, and he's going to get the number 5 jersey worn by Zinedine Zidane, who was the previous record holder for a transfer sum. I think his transfer in 2001 was for 54 million. So a lot of parallels there with Zinedine Zidane, and that's in the Gazzetta dello Sport in Italy, and also in the Daily Telegraph.
Ciao Kaka. Great player.
Yeah. Right.
Great player.
And I think he was training with Brazil yesterday, I think, and he was released for a sports...
World Cup qualifier. He had his medical down in Brazil. They passed the medical with flying colours. There he is in the Daily Telegraph, wearing the famous yellow jersey. And, of course, wearing the number 10, the iconic number of the great Pele.
Well, there you go. So he's got a lot of jerseys to fill, with a lot of high standards.
The natural successor of great footballers.
Right.
Ricardo Kaka.
There you go.
Great
now,
stuff.
there was one story that I was going to speak about earlier in the French press review. Véronique Courjaults, that case is starting today.
It's story, James,
horrendous stuff.
Very disturbing.
She was found in Seoul in South Korea to have had 2 bodies of young children in her freezer. It was her husband actually who found that. This is a French woman. Yeah. And it turned out after DNA testing that it was in fact their children. The husband apparently didn't know.
These are newborn babies found in the home freezer.
Right. And it turned out that there was a 3rd baby in France a number of years earlier, which was also done away with in very unsavoury fashion. So the whole question about this case really is, did the husband know? He was cleared by the courts 2 years ago, but DNA testing shows that it was in fact their children. So I suppose that the intrigue really is, how could he not have known
DNA test
that his wife was pregnant 3 times?
Indeed, he said it's possible to. I mean, it seems hard to imagine that you wouldn't know your wife was pregnant, but.
Well, in Aujourd'hui en France, they
I should say, legally, he's in the clear completely.
He's in the clear.
There's no implication that he was involved in the death of the children.
There's an interview with a gynecologist in Aujourd'hui en France who looks into these cases and says that you can have instances where, a pregnancy can be hidden, and where indeed the mother just refuses to accept that she is pregnant, that she can physically be pregnant, but in her mind she doesn't accept that this has happened. So obviously a lot of psychology involved on both sides, and that case is sure to
I'm not a psychologist, but it sounds extremely complicated, and obviously someone is in need of help.
Right.
It seems. James, thank you for that international look at the papers.
Thanks, Mark.
Time now to move on to the major world headlines today.